Now, we'd like to entertain questions from now, and we'd like to rearrange the stage. Please wait for a moment.
We have many online participants today. So in the Q&A session, we would like to also entertain questions from our online participants. I think we are about ready. So I would like to ask these speakers to come up to the stage. We are running a bit late, so a little less than 15 minutes. We would like to have a Q&A session. So first, we have received many questions in advance as well, so we would like to mix those as well. So maybe about 2 questions to each speaker. And also, if we have time, I would like to ask the floor for question as well. So starting with a question to JICA Kamei-san. The counterparty government, JICA, Japan universities, and also Japanese companies can collaborate for international cooperation. And I'm sure when many organizations are involved, then what do you think is most necessary? Thank you very much for your question. It's a philosophical, quite difficult question. So this is not an official JICA position. I myself, through my experience in carrying out international collaboration with many people, I've thought what is important is that other speakers have said the same. Communication and trust and people-to-people connection, I think that is most important. So the people in the developing countries, they're not people whom we teach to. They are equal partners to think together. That is the most important aspect. And I'm sure people from NGOs and private companies and universities and we, JICA, and also this can be said for the relationship amongst all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are delighted to hear more about the topic during the panel's discussion. There's another short question. In the JICA program, the textbook that was developed from the project, would that be available to utilize in other countries or market? Yes, I cannot automatically say that everything is available automatically yet. However, basically, we are maximizing opportunity to be tapped into in all areas. For example, in El Salvador or other the Middle America's country, there is a Spanish textbook, and in fact, next website is referring to that text. And in Japan, there are some schools with high connections with Spanish, and some of the schools staff cannot communicate with the students well. And with the education board and the students, we are collaborating and ask such teachers to use the Spanish textbook. And therefore, we have some achievement and outcome that we generate from the project could be utilized for the public goods around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So to Professor Kyomen from Tsukuba University, Tokkatsu's basic benefit, the biggest benefit of Tokkatsu or the advantage, what are those? So for example, maybe discipline or a moral education or classroom management. So what would be the benefits of Tokkatsu activities? Thank you very much for your question. Now, I think this is also very difficult to answer in one word, but Tokkatsu is a group activity. So the children receiving education will be the center of these activities, and also there are development issues as well, but they should take initiatives and discuss and make decisions and implement. So it is exactly as it will be when they become adults. So when they become adults and as part of civil society, this is something they will need to do so they can experience that. And that is one big possibility. Yeah. Of course, there's the development of quality capability as well, but not only that, through experience to construct a group society, that is a benefit. But on the other hand, there are disadvantages as well because these are group activities. So people-to-people relations is extremely important. I think that is everything. So if that can be constructed through discussion, there's huge potential. But if it doesn't work, then everything can become a disadvantage. So it's a double-edged sword. So I think that is a challenge. So both aspects need to be taken into consideration. And that is extremely important. Thank you. Thank you. So in terms, not only capability, you said, but there's a question concerning the capability as well, which I would like to ask you. So the relationship between non-cognitive skills and also sports and exercise. So there's an interest in the metrics thereof. I'm working for a sports university, and 2 years ago we carried out questionnaire survey, and amongst these students, and it was said that cognitive skills were quite high. And I think currently these extracurricular activities are said to be social activities, but do you think non-cognitive skills can be nurtured even through not so stringent sports activities? I'm not an expert in measuring the results, so I'm not sure to what extent I'll be able to respond to that question, but extracurricular activities, whether or not that has effect towards non-cognitive skills, it's very important to think of what kind of activities, because it's not only extracurricular activities, but I think everything is linked to that. So whether it's stringent or not, that is not the way to demarcate. I think there are many other factors as well that need to be taken into consideration. So we need to have a comprehensive view. Non-cognitive skills, it seems that there are many elements. Various skills and capabilities are included there. So it's worth to encompass all of that, but it can be big five, or maybe is it more detailed? I think there are various ways of interpreting this. So these education activities within these non-cognitive skills, what is being targeted, that needs to be taken into consideration. And also this is context dependence. So how is it utilized? How is it acquired? That also needs to be taken into consideration. That is why we are carrying a qualitative survey. Of course, quantitative surveys is also necessary, but a qualitative survey has to be done at the same time, or else we will not be able to see the overall picture of the results.
Thank you very much. Next, in the order of presentation, there's a question to Mr. Otake. And in India, in particular, music is becoming very powerful, and not just limited to India, but in each country there existed music and in regard to the fusion of the local music, are there any fusion that you're thinking about? Right, in India, not just limited to India though, in each country there is a unique music prevalent in each local area, particularly the music used for the movies. Maybe the state, by state, language and the music popular is different. And in our activities, we are using recorders and try to play music, and we try to pick local music, try to incorporate local music. Perhaps there's a very famous simple melody. We try to capture that in the school textbook. In India, though it is not published in Japan, there's a unique instruments in India, and the keyboards that reproduce the audio of such instruments, Indian instruments, are actually being produced. And we'd like to help support the education so that it fits to the local culture as well. Thank you very much. There's another question. Well, I know that you have a lot of answer to this question, but are there any difficulties and hardships that we faced in local markets? Are there? Thank you for the question. Just shortly, nothing moves in accordance with the plan. As is mentioned earlier, there's a completely different area, opposite side of the globe, and there's a 3-step forward and a 2-step backs. So on a net basis, you only make 1 step advance, and that is a really difficult point, even with the government officials. Yet making appointments and organizing meeting as it's scheduled, that doesn't happen all the time. So you have to be very strenuous in doing such efforts. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Professor Shimizu, there are questions for you as well. In Cambodia, so you established school health rooms, which I think is wonderful. So the special teachers required there, the teachers in these health rooms. In Cambodia, would it be school nurse that is required, or a teacher or someone from the medical profession? That is the question. Thank you for your question. In the JICA grassroots project, in the second slide, I mentioned that there was an interview with the ministry where we will be transferring that, or in any case, I had about 3 meetings with the minister, and I think at some timing it was mentioned exactly as was asked in the question, what kind of person or role it would be required of in the health room. The word that the minister used was counselor. There's the Teachers Training University, and there are graduates from that school as well already. So like Japan, for example, for hygiene, not just focusing only on that, but for example, infectious diseases, or there may be sexually transmitted diseases, to first listen to be the recipient of consultations from these students. That is the type of role that is required as far as I have heard.
Another question. Now, in Cambodia, nutrition as well as the education on health, could you elaborate on the current situation? Right, as UNICEF mentioned the other day, and also as I mentioned earlier, that there are some infrastructure development challenges. Also, hygiene for water is really challenging in Cambodia. So even a boy, when I measured for local municipalities, the boy have a very low profile and very skinny. So that was a prominent character. So when you talk about education, and there's an education time or hour, but also because there's no school meal provided, and also there is only a morning that education is provided. So they have to only focus on the key essential education. With the education of Japan, with the support of education and also professional soccer player, the students started to play some games. But from the growth, physical growth of the students, the education is not sufficient. And also the school health education text is now being prepared, and therefore Cambodia government is poised to prepare that more. Japanese NGO, the International Health Organization, that tried to prepare the nutrition chart according with the commandments of cuisine, and therefore preparation is underway.
So thank you very much. This is a very good opportunity. We'd like to entertain 1 or 2 questions from the floor as well. And there is a break after this, so during the break, do please approach the speakers if you are interested. So are there any questions? Please wait for the microphone. Thank you very much for the very interesting presentations. Each of the presentations, especially in the last part, I think you talked about how you can return and feedback to Japan, how the results were measured. It was very meaningful. Frankly speaking, I'm very outspoken, I'm very critical, I'm famous for that, but still, today, I was able to think that things are functioning very smoothly. I was quite surprised, actually, and based on that, I'm sure going forward, we don't have that much time to deepen our discussion, so maybe in the latter part of the program, I hope that you will include what I want to say in the panel discussion. For example, Yamaha. I do understand that for a very long period of time you've been overseas and you are operating in many countries also. I know you from when you were struggling, that's fine. But in each of the countries, the teachers who purchase musical instruments and provide instruction as well. So it's very difficult to maintain the cost and persist in these activities. So maybe Yamaha and also other schools and government-related people, what kind of discussions can be done? That is one question. And Kagawa University's project, in terms of policy, it was adopted and it can remain in being implemented, but that is when the project starts. For JICA projects as well, I think sustainability is also extremely important. So based on that, afterwards, how can be done to maintain the system that was initiated? So I think that exceeds the scope of the project. So if you have any views, maybe we hope that that will be included in the panel discussion later on. And also concerning Egypt. Egypt has been trying to learn from Japan for many years, especially in the field of education. But still, it's quite difficult, and I think you're doing very well. So Tokkatsu and other Japan-specific initiatives, when these are implemented in local schools, I think the burden on the teachers will increase because that also. So how is that being taken into consideration? So I think the cost and the system and individual capabilities, how this can be communicated. So this people part. So people, system, money. In terms of this, this is coming to all three projects. So the sustainability of all of these, how are you perceiving that? I hope this can be discussed later. And Kamei-san, I have opportunities to talk with you on a regular basis. That EduPort project, JICA, is now involved on site as well. And I think you have a policy insight that can be returned to Japan as well. You've been able to accumulate much of that. And maybe to ask Kitayama-san to think about that as well. So how can all of this be actually returned to Japanese education? What needs to be done? I think time has come to think more seriously about these issues. Sorry for my lengthy comment. Thank you very much.
Now, all this point that was raised so far, we are hoping that panel's discussion will pick up such topics that we are going to organize later. We are running behind the schedule due to my lack of ability to manage quite well. We'd like to close the Q&A session at this juncture, and thank you all very much for your presentation.